Before James had his rebuild, the other engines were hard at work. They felt rushed off their wheels and needed help soon. One day, the Vat Controller spoke to Edward.
Edward, you are needed at the scrapyards at Barrow and Furnace. There is a train of scrap that needs to be taken to be melted down.
Why would I need to go there and not to the scrapyard on my branch line?
Because our scrapyard is undergoing renovations, and the other scrapyards are busy with other stuff.
Oh, okay, sir. Edward puffed away to the scrapyards, trying hard not to think about unpleasant thoughts along the way. On the other side of Sodor, there is a bridge leading to the city of Barrow and Furness. There's the scrapyards there, where many steam engines were either cut up or escaped to Sodor. Normally it would be diesels who would go there, but as Edward was taking the scrap train there, nothing would go wrong. By the time Edward's cargo was unloaded, Edward set off home. He was puffing down the line when he heard something. What was that?
That sounds like a steam engine.
Who's there? A silence hung in the air. Edward backed up. And to his surprise, he found a steam engine in the scrapyards. His tender was already cut up, but the locomotive itself was unharmed. Hello, I'm Edward. Who are you?
Are you one of the engines from the North Western Railway?
Yes, I am. And who are you?
My name is Barry. I used to work on the London and Midland region.
Really? An engine on our railway used to work from that railway. He tells me his name was Clarence.
Clarence? He survived?
Yep. He now goes by the name Arthur and has a branch line all to himself and helps out with goods trains.
Oh, that's wonderful.
But then Barry's face fell. Is something wrong?
I miss my days when I worked properly.
Edward was intrigued. He wanted to know more about Barry. Would you like to tell me how you got to the scrapyards?
Sure, it all started in 1968. I was working on the London and Midland region at the time. A tender engine whose name was Samson had just returned from a trip to Sodor. I had no idea that Sodor even existed at the time, but I only knew Samson went to an island that was not mentioned to me by name.
Ugh! What a waste of time I had!
What is it, Samson?
Pah! I just came back from the island. I was told that the city of London was King's Cross, but then some tank engine said London was Paddington. But that's rubbish. London's Euston. I go there all the time. I honestly have no idea what those two engines are talking about.
Just then Clarence came up.
Actually, you three were both correct.
What?
There were a number of stations in London for different railway companies. King's Cross is the London North Eastern Railway, Paddington was the Great Western Railway, and Euston is the London, Midland and Scottish Railway.
Samson's face was priceless. But before he could argue, our controller came to see us.
You have done a very good job, Barry. But now, I think it is best if you return to your sheds to sleep.
Yes, sir, but I only have one question for you.
What is it?
What is the name of the island everyone talks about? Our controller paused for a moment, then he spoke.
It is called Sodor. It has 4 different railways. The North Western Railway, which has standard gauge engines, the Skarloey Railway, which is for narrow gauge engines, the Arlesdale Railway, which is for minimum gauge engines, and the Culdee Railway, which has engines that run on mountain rails. Many people have doubted it even exists, but it is very real. Samson went there hours ago. But anyway, you should get to your shed. Have a good night's sleep.
Okay, sir. After saying good night to Clarence and Samson, I puffed away to my shed. When I got there, I was about to sleep when the manager came to see me. Is there something wrong?
I'm sorry, Barry, but I'm afraid this will be your last day of service.
What do you mean?
It's time this railway becomes like the others.
What?
That's right. Diesels are coming into this railway. All the steam engines will be relocated to the scrapyards.
After everything you have done for me, you'll turn me into scrap.
I'm sorry, but this is how it should be.
I won't go.
You shall.
I was about to argue when a diesel buffered up to me, and my driver and fireman left my cab. They were just as sad as I was. I could tell they didn't want to leave me, but they couldn't stay with me, even if they wanted to.
Right, you! Let's go!
And we both left. When we got to the scrapyard, I was completely scared. The screams of steam engines being scrapped were all around me. It was a living nightmare. I found it hard to sleep. I was worried that the scrappers would come to get me next. I stayed there for 20 years. I saw some steam engines escape, and I wished them luck along with other engines. I continued to stay. I then saw diesels being taken into the scrapyard. I was confused. I didn't know why diesels were being cut up as well. Then it made sense. They must not been able to keep up with the workload, I thought. Then, in 1988, two men arrived and approached me. I was afraid. No! Stay away!
Shh! Be quiet if you don't want to get cut up.
What do you mean? Aren't you going to scrap me?
We were ordered to scrap you, but we don't want to see you cut up. We have seen engines get cut up. It's terrible!
We're going to get you out of here.
For a second, I was speechless. No, you're lying. You're going to make me suffer.
No, we won't. You'll see.
Two men got into my cab and gave me fresh coal and water. I couldn't believe what was happening. They started polishing me and oiling my joints. I couldn't understand why they were doing this. Maybe they were going to transfer me to another scrapyard, I thought. But what didn't matter then? I started moving. A steam engine saw me leave.
Fly away. Be free. Escape the threat of the diesels.
Unfortunately, some scrappers saw me leave and ran off to tell the scrapyard manager. As I put down my line, I asked my driver and fireman a few questions. Where are we going?
To the island of Sodor. You'll be safe there.
But what if those diesels try to stop me?
They won't! We'll make sure of that!
When we approached the signal box, the signalman saw us and the two men explained to him about the matter.
I'll put you on an old siding so that diesels can't be able to spot you. There's some bushes and tarpaulin in my cottage. That should cover you up.
I had never felt so relieved in my life. Oh, thank you. I was put onto the siding and the two men shut off steam, extinguished my fire, and then put a green tarpaulin over me and put some leaves to make it look like a bush. They placed buffers of rails in front of me. Then they stayed at a cottage near me as the time passed. I heard sounds of diesels passing me, taking no notice of the big bush. Rats covered me. When night time and no diesels were in sight, the two men came back and removed the leaves, buffers and tarpaulin, and were just about to put me back on the main line when...
Wait! I've just been informed that a goods train is coming around. You'll be seen!
I was horrified. There was no time to cover me back in the tarpaulin, for the diesel was already in sight. Three men quickly entered the cottage near me. The closer the diesel got, the more scared I felt. Soon the diesel stopped next to me.
You must be that engine from the Berry scrapyards who we were told about yesterday.
Yes. The diesel studied me.
You're scared.
Yes.
Well, I don't think a steamy like you should be scrapped if he or she would be scared. I always thought scrap was never an option.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing. But I thought all diesels were bad.
Not all of them. Where are you headed?
To the island of Sodor? Why?
I'd do anything to help a steam engine escape from scrap.
Okay, how do I get there?
Take the line to the bridge to Barrow-in-Furness. Barrow is the quickest way to Sodor.
Okay, where's the bridge?
Just follow the track and I'll take you to it.
Okay, thank you.
Anytime. By the way, if anyone asks, I never saw you.
Okay, but what is your name? Before the diesel could say anything, his driver spoke up.
Sorry, but we don't have time. We have to get this train to the scrapyards. Good luck. You're gonna need it.
And the diesel left. The two men who helped me escape from the scrapyard got out of the cottage. The moment the diesel left, I explained what happened.
So, the diesel was helping us?
Yep, he also told us that he wouldn't tell anyone else. He said we're to go to Barrow-in-Furness as the quickest way to Sodor.
That's splendid, but there's one problem. There's a scrapyard at Barrow, so we have to avoid that.
Oh, well, we have to try and make it to Sodor.
You're right. Let's go.
And we did. It took a while, but eventually made it to Barrow. We tried very hard not to be seen, but one day something horrific happened. I stopped just a few inches from the bridge to Sodor. What happened?
We ran out of coal, and your water tank is empty.
Oh no, we'll never make it now. The worst was to come. Two class-awake twins came up to me.
Well, well, well. What do we have here? A steam engine? What a surprise. And you ran out of coal and water. How beautiful.
The two men were terrified.
Driver, tell that engine's driver and fireman to get out of here if they don't want to get a bullet in their chests.
The diesel's driver did so, and the men who helped me ran away as quickly as they could. I felt bad for them. I also knew I was doomed.
We'll make sure you're scrapped. Bother it, Bert.
The diesel then took me away to the scrapyard. I was scared. I thought that this would be my last time I saw light of day.
Hey, Harry, why don't we take him into the smelter's yard? Because, you ninny, it's undergoing renovations. Oh, I forgot.
Whilst I was in the scrapyard, the scrappers came and scrapped my tender. Then one day, before the scrappers were ready to come and scrap me, I saw the same diesel I saw before approach. Hey, stop! The diesel stopped.
Oh, dang. You got caught, didn't you?
Yes, my driver and fireman fled in fear of being killed, and I'm here.
I see. I know a sign that you can hide in. The scrappers are less likely to find you here.
Oh, thank you. The diesel quickly took me away to a siding. The scrap around it made the perfect hiding place for me, and sure enough, when the scrappers tried to find me, they couldn't. I remained there, not speaking for decades. I still wanted to escape to Sodor so badly, and now that you're here, do you think you can help me?
Edward grinned. Of course I will, Barry. My branch line is in need of another engine to help out, and I'm sure Arthur will be happy to see you again. And for the first time in years, Barry felt hope return to him again. Edward coupled up to Barry.
But what if people see us leave?
Don't worry, this isn't the first time I saved someone from scrap. I saved the traction engine in 1953. Edward then puffed out with Barry coupled to the truck. They were getting close to the bridge of Sodor when they saw a man in the distance. He was in front of the tracks and seemed to be trying to get their attention.
Oh no, a scrap merchant! They found me!
Don't worry, my driver and fireman have a plan. Edward soon brought the train to a halt.
What's this? A turbo MT tender engine, no tender? We were just getting ready to scrap 'em decades ago. You can't have 'em.
Actually, he's for us. Save for yourself.
The driver handed out a piece of paper to the merchant. While he was reading, they crossed their fingers. If Edward had fingers, he would have crossed them too. Barry, on the other hand, would have chewed the nails on his nervously. Finally, the merchant stopped reading.
Seems in order. Looks like you're free to go.
The driver and fireman thanked him, and Edward set off once again.
What? How did that happen?
It was a trick my friend Douglas taught my crew and me. He saved an engine from scrap too in 1968. He had an adventure quite like yours, but he didn't come from the LMR. He came from the Great Western Railway. His name is Oliver, the number 11 of the Northwestern Railway.
That's amazing.
I know. They didn't go that far, but eventually they reached Sodor. Edward shunted Barry into a nearby carriage shed.
I can't thank you enough. You have no idea how grateful I am.
No problem, Barry. I'm sure the Fat Controller would love to have you on his railway. And when Edward was uncoupled from Barry, he set off to Tidmouth sheds. When he got back, the others questioned him.
Where have you been, you old timer? The Fat Controller will be here any minute.
I was just coming back home when I found a steam engine.
Say what?
Edward told the others about Barry. All of the engines were in shock. Then the Fat Controller arrived.
What's this I hear about another engine?
I saved a steam engine from scrap, sir. The Fat Controller's eyes were wider than the engine's. Edward then told him about Barry and how he saved him from the scrapyard.
Take me to him at once.
Yes, sir. Later, Edward returned to Barry's shed.
Hello, you must be Barry. My name is Sir Richard Topham Hatt, but you can call me Sir.
Hello, sir.
Edward has told me a lot about you. You are just the engine we need to help out with the passengers and goods trains. You think you're up to it?
Yes, sir.
Good, but we must take you to the steamworks first. We can't have you doing work while you're still rusty. Edward, take him to the steamworks to get restored.
Yes, sir. And Edward coupled up to Barry and took him away. When they got to the steamworks, Edward shunted Barry in front of the turntable. Victor was there and puffed onto the turntable. Hello, Edward, my friend. What brings you here? This is Barry. He's going to be helping us with passenger and goods trains. Can you please restore him? Sure thing. Just put him on the turntable. Victor backed up, and Edward put Barry on the turntable. Don't worry, my friend. You'll be fixed in no time. Ugh, Kevin!
Sorry, boss!
As the weeks passed, Barry became more newer like he was back in his early years. But one day, a surprise came for him. Duck was shunting something into the steamworks. Hello, Duck. What brings you here? I found this tender in the scrapyards. Barry could use one, don't you think? Well, I think so too. Leave it where it is. As soon as we're ready, we'll have Barry's new tender in working condition too. After a few days after summer had started, everyone had gathered to see Barry. They had heard from the Fat Controller that Barry's restoration is finished, and they wanted to see him for themselves.
Engines of the Northwestern Railway, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you our new number 13, Barry.
How do you feel, Barry?
I feel like a young engine again. I'm so glad I'm here.
As we all are. Welcome to the Northwestern Railway, Barry. Barry couldn't have been any happier.